Hello and welcome to a new edition of Interview with Irene. Today my very wonderful guest is Dr. Susanne Kurz, and she will be talking to us about her life in academia and also about her very dedicated work in promoting the very brilliant actor Mr. Ivan Kaye, and how she came about to be not only his #1 fangirl, but in a way his publicist and maybe his agent. Who knows? And
Oh, it's so sad.
it's the future for you.
Oh,
And she's just wonderful, and also it's always great for me to meet another Viking fan. We're not GOT fans, we're definitely Viking fans. And if you haven't seen the series on the History Channel, you should. It's incredible, and actually it has a lot more heart and emotion than GOT, so even if you miss GOT and are disappointed with the ending, you won't be disappointed in Vikings. It's a show I strongly recommend. But without further ado, thank you so much for coming, and welcome, Susan.
thank you.
um, so actually, you started in academia, though. Could you tell us a little bit about your background in academia and where are you now?
Yes, generally, first thing, as you can hear, I'm German, so you
Yes.
should hear that by my accent. I hope everybody is going to understand me well, and I'm currently 43 years old, and I have a PhD in the humanities, and it's basically in the field of Islamic studies in the German style. So that's a little bit different from what Americans are used to, or the Anglo-Saxon world is used to, because it's a very small field in Germany, and it basically encompasses. It's a small field in terms of personnel, of people who are working in the field, but a very wide field in terms of subject. It encompasses basically the whole Islamicate world, from about 600 of our time until today, from about Spain to Central Asia and South Asia, and so it's a very wide field, which is populated by a tiny amount of professionals and researchers. And so that's my academic background. I've done my master's and my PhD studies at the University of Tübingen. That's close to Stuttgart. Very renowned university, actually, very old university. And then I've worked at the university, the Ruhr University at Bochum. And currently I'm still, not very much longer, until end of September, but still employed as an interim professor at the University of Tübingen.
Wonderful. So now moving on to the fan activity aspects of your life. So again, we met because we were both Vikings, and in particular, Ivan Kaye fans. So, how did you become fascinated with Mr. Kaye's work?
Yes, it's actually a quite long story. I'll try to cut it down, but I have told part of it in a little video I made last year for the first year anniversary of my pages, my fan pages, and that can be seen on our YouTube channel. So you'll get the link in the environment of this video, and I've cut it down a little bit. So I got to know Ivan Kaye through the Viking series, which you have mentioned already, and which also brought us together.
Yes.
Which is a really nice thing in this whole process. And I was impressed by his King Aile, and I was impressed by this character basically right from the start. Now, I didn't come in 2013 when the series first aired. I think I've seen, no, I'm sure I've seen one of the scenes where Rollo is baptized in season 1 on free TV around that time, 2013 maybe, when I was zapping through, and it stuck enough with me to remember it. And I actually spotted him in this scene already, but there wasn't much talk in the scene, and I was zapping through, and it didn't capture me enough. And I came back to it accidentally in the year 2016. Because somebody had drawn my attention to Amazon Prime Video, and that there actually is interesting stuff there. And I was looking through it, and I found the Viking series. And as I'm a historian, but I usually try to avoid history of my field, historical fiction of my field, because I know too much and I'm very critical then, and that spoils the joy. But I didn't know anything about the Vikings, except for the fact that they are very different. They were very different. It's a very different culture from ours. And so I was fascinated and interested, and I had a look. And due to the fact that I was traveling by the time for another interim professorship to Bochum for about 1,000 kilometers a week by train back and forth, I like to download stuff from Amazon Prime Video on my mobile devices on my phone, and to watch it sometimes in the train and sometimes in the hotel room. And that's basically how I went through the whole series of Vikings between early 2016 and early 2017 up to the end of season 4B. And after watching that, I remember that well. It was my last day at the university before the break, and so the term was not the term was finished, but the classes were finished. Yeah? And I was traveling back by train, and allowed myself to just indulge in watching Vikings, because that was, you know, I was done with the job for a while. And so I watched basically King Aile's end on the smallest possible screen you can imagine on my phone with the headphones in my ears in the train. And I was so I don't know, deeply moved by that. It had a very strong emotional impact on me, and so that was the reason. Basically, I was very impressed by the acting, by Ivan Kaye's acting, and I was strongly emotionally moved by this, and especially as I had a preference for this character right from the start. And because of this, I wanted to talk about it. Now, in my environment at that point, there weren't many people to talk about it. as usual, because my tastes are a little bit off what, for example, my closest friends or my partner would watch, and so I did the thing I usually do when that happens. I went online. And I went to IMDb and I looked Ivan Kaye up there and his page and everything. And usually I would have done some discussions on the message boards on IMDb. But at that time, in February 2017, they were just about abolishing the message boards on IMDb. And and there was also not much going on there at that point in time. So I went on to check him out. I found the link to his Facebook page. I found the hint to his Twitter page, and so I went there and I looked everything up and scrolled through and tried to get an impression. And I found his show reels. And these show reels basically showed me, because, you know, sometimes it's just the character, you know, sometimes you just like this one character, but I wanted to see, is this, I had the feeling this could be one of the actors who would basically fascinate me in anything. So I've had that twice before. People who I wanted to follow through whatever they were doing, and even if it was 2 minutes or something, I would watch the very crazy stuff, just fast forwarding to their part to look at it. And I thought he's a candidate for that, and so I looked it up, and I was really astonished by the range he displayed in these show reels, and basically other roles that were like totally different, were comedy, and I wouldn't have recognized him if it wasn't in his show reel, you know. And so I thought, oh yeah, that guy is interesting, and yeah, I got a little bit of an impression of him. I started to interact I tried to interact on the Facebook page, and there wasn't that much going on at that time with the other fans, and I found the fandom on Twitter, and I started to engage there. And I've always loved to do screenshots, to basically screenshot through a scene, and I'd done DVD covers and things like that for myself previously, but never shared anything because, you know, copyrights and all this stuff. And now I found that there were stacks of people posting pictures, talking about it, discussing, sharing emotions, and doing memes and all kinds of stuff. And I thought, hey, that's great. I'm going to do that. And I just started to posting screenshots I had made, and I basically went through all these scenes of King Aile. Again, we'll come back to that with regard to my the relation to my research, and I did that, and I engaged with them, and I also followed Ivan Kaye there, and I found interestingly that he's very approachable. He's very kind, and he's really reacting to everything. Sooner or later, he will find your if you are mentioning him. Even his character at that time, he did searches. I could see that he did specifically did searches for King Aile and for his name, and went through everything that was in some nice statement or appreciative statement, and put his likes on it. And I found that remarkable. And if you tag him directly, he will react at some point. And he also sometimes reacted with comments and said thank you and I appreciate it and things like that. And I really liked that. And he reacted to my stuff, and he even retweeted my stuff. And so I grew pretty fond of him rather quickly. And then the other thing that really was interesting for me was the enthusiasm he showed on his Facebook page. The fan page on Facebook is at the same time his own page, so he's on the page. he's not the only admin, and he's not the only one posting, but at the time he was doing a lot himself on the page, and he is still in the page and on the page and engaging on the page. And that was something that sprang at me because I was in a thorough professional crisis at the point, and I had basically lost my own enthusiasm and for my work, which was there very much. And I could relate to, on the one hand, could relate to the enthusiasm, but I had a hole there, and it was somehow inspiring and interesting to see that. And I just enjoyed seeing that. And so that's how it started. And I got the impression that it was worth engaging with him. And I found somewhere on the page, on the Facebook page, I found a comment or a statement of Angela, the founder of the page. Angela Gordon, who has founded a Facebook page for Ivan Kaye, and who is a very nice, lovely, wonderful person, but unfortunately very ill, very sick at the moment, and can't do very much. And I found a statement of her saying, "Thanks for supporting Ivan, because he's such a nice person and such a wonderful human being." And that was a moment where something clicked, and I thought, okay, maybe I'd never even thought of that option, but maybe you can, as a fan, you really can do something useful for a celebrity you like. I mean, you can actually offer something, do something. And I was thinking about it, and I thought, okay, what can I do? What am I good at? And obviously what I'm good at is writing and researching and putting together articles. And so I had a look at Wikipedia, I think you say Wikipedia, we say Wikipedia, Wikipedia. And I found that he had an English article and a French article, I think a very rudimentary French article, a very rudimentary Persian article, but no German article. Oh. And I said, okay, that can't be. So I basically went to the Facebook page, put in the visitors section, put something like, would you like to have a German Wikipedia article, because I can do that. And he answered in German. He said in German. He said, "I love the idea," in German. And I said, okay. You'll get this article, yeah, because that's something you get me with that. If you make the effort really to, most people don't bother, especially English native speakers don't bother thinking about languages like German, and you could bother to use them or anything, and that was So I did that, and I thought, okay, maybe it's okay on Twitter. Throwing pictures around on Twitter is a nice thing, but they go down the feed very quickly, right. And then they are gone, and that's pretty frustrating if you have put some effort in them. And so I was looking for putting up a gallery somewhere, basically Vikings, King Aile, and I had seen Instagram before, and I went to Instagram to check that option, and so I thought, okay, I'll make an account, and that was after the Wikipedia article in the Easter holidays. I had some time, and I just made an Instagram account, a Pinterest account, and I put up my King Aile pictures on Instagram. And then Laura from Team Parmenter, the fan page, and or I should rather say the honorary promotion team of Hugh Parmenter, who played Roland in the Paris section of Vikings. She saw that, and we had some exchange before, but she saw that, and she immediately understood what I was doing there, and she went right to Twitter and did a shout out to Vikings family and said, "Oh, come on, our lovely Mr. K has a page now on IG. Susanne made it. Go give her a follow." And tuck, 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 tuck. I don't know, 10 followers, right? And yeah, I did that, and she also told me, she was the one who told me how to use Instagram properly, because you have to size the pictures accordingly. It's a picture app, but you can't put just put pictures there. They have to have a certain size and format, and if they haven't, and there's text on them or something, it will be cut off. And that's what happened with my first couple of pictures. And she saw that and she told me how to do it. Yeah. And then I reposted. And yeah, so I started and I loved Instagram at the point. At that point, I went around, looked what other accounts had, talked to them, and so on, and explored that and made relationships. And I loved that at the point you got a lot of likes and could grow a page very easily. I got to, I don't know, 100 followers within 2 months with just that page, which didn't have any actor name in it at that point. And I loved it. It was fun, and I did that, and I looked around, and then I came to the Facebook page and said, "Oh, look, I have found this, and I have found that." And also, I did a little bit of YouTube videos, and one or two things. I started to get a taste of putting scenes together and putting stuff together. And one of them also Ivan shared one of them on the Facebook page, and I was very flattered by that, and engaged in discussions in a Facebook Vikings fan group, the biggest, most official one where all the extras are in. And so that's what I did. And there's more to it. I've left out a couple of things. And what happened is that at some point in May 2017, so when I had been active about 3 months, Ivan sent me a message on Facebook. I think I told you, because I was totally excited and I tell someone, and asked me if I wanted to be admin on his Facebook page. And well, I said, yeah, of course, yes, great. What an idea. What a question. Of course I want to be an admin. And so we became Facebook friends, because you need to be either Facebook friends or have other details to share a page. And I got admin on this page, and started to get into that stuff. And Angela gave me a couple of guidelines and things, and answered some questions. There's another admin there. It's Deirdre. She's on Twitter too. We'll tag her when you post the link. I'll tag her. And they are both very lovely people. I like them very much. We have become friends. Although both of them have their problems themselves, and can't always be online and can't always do much. Basically the page was mine then. I could do all the stuff I wanted to, and so I got into it like this. So that's how I became, I became associated with Ivan Kaye. And the second question, I think I try to make this. Yeah, I can make this shorter. I think it was how I did get involved in promotion. So of course I have no intention whatsoever to replace his agent. That's really professional stuff. I can't do. I don't want to. No, because I don't want to get the agent mad at me.
No, we were teasing. Don't worry about it.
No way in this direction. I want to cooperate. I don't want to. I don't have any aspirations of this sort. But there has taken place a unplanned, gradual process during the past 2 years. After I turned my pages on Instagram and Pinterest and YouTube into fan pages, and made the Twitter fan page and all of that. Ivan Kaye fans, for those who want to check it out, and Team Ivan Kaye on the other pages. That basically is still evolving, and obviously I have a hidden talent there. I didn't know that. I always thought I totally suck at marketing. It's totally a non-talent. It's something I absolutely can't do. And it has turned out that obviously I'm not that bad at it, as long as it's not marketing for myself and I'm convinced of the product, so to speak. Yeah? And I'm totally convinced of what I'm doing there. And so it's still evolving, and it got to a new level this year, and it's kind of a professionalization taking place, because I started to do not only media posts and preparing media, but which I'm still doing and loving. It's the part I love most. But I started to do a lot of strategic thinking and other PR thing. I call it background servicing. Things nobody really sees what I'm doing, but I'm doing this stuff, and I think it makes an impact. And servicing of pages and the like, and it's basically I'm aiming always with everything I'm doing, because I have this mad perfectionist thing, which many academics have, and so I'm always aiming for doing the best and doing it properly, and finding knowledge how to do it properly, and so on. And in this way, I think this went into a route of or a road of getting more professional while being a hobby. It still is a hobby, but at the moment we are at a level where I'm sort of an unofficially official, yeah, I would call it like that, an unofficially official PR team, honorary, which means it's my hobby, and I'm doing it because I like basically doing all of it, and it seems to be useful, and we are in touch, and yeah, so it's a little bit different from what fan pages usually are like.
Wonderful.
So that's for these questions.
And I love my autograph picture. Thanks to you, I can.
The autograph, yes, I had this great chance to go to London last year, yeah, and to bring the autograph.
And you just saw him again in Berlin, I saw.
Yes, I've just been to Berlin this past week for 3 days, and Ivan was shooting there, was filming there a new action film, Gunpowder Milkshake, which will be a great thing from all I can see now. It's all, of course, very secret, but there have been pages who have shared some content back in February already. I've basically compiled all that information, and it seems to be really good and a great thing. And obviously it is, because Ivan is in it, so that will always make it good. And I have had the opportunity, yes, to meet him again. And to do a lot of business talk. Here's a picture, one of the pictures we took there, and to get a lot of autographs. So people who would like to have an autograph, just contact the fan page, Ivan Kaye Fans on Twitter and Facebook, Team Ivan Kaye on Instagram, YouTube, and Pinterest. And and I'm also doing the fancy stuff, like here, t-shirts. Yeah, that's a new t-shirt, and you will see a contest sometime later this year, probably in autumn. And there's something, Irene, for you. I'll send this out.
It.
I'll send this out soon.
Can't wait.
And then you'll get it. And this
Picture with the
this is one of the team T-shirts, and we also will have T-shirts or bags or key rings or bookmarks or whatever you like, and we'll also have DVDs or Blu-rays for our contest as prizes. And you'll see that when we'll announce it. Just keep an eye. That will be mostly on Twitter. So yeah, that's a nice stuff we are doing there. So
thank you so much. So, but other than King Alec, what is your favorite character that Ivan played?
Yeah, that's good question. Yeah, the thing is, I basically like everything he does. Because when you get a taste and you're doing some sort of gourmet watching, I call it, yeah, it's always a treat. And of course, King Ale is I've put him up here, yeah, is my favorite for a couple of reasons, and I think he will always stay special to me because it's that one character where I discovered him, but. I have a couple of second-rate favorites, you know. Number one is King Ale, and then I have a couple of characters that are contending for number two, and I really can't rank them. I really liked his Mick Starrock in the Corona. There's just no challenge to it because that's such a nice character, and I like them a little bit more, you know, a little bit more problematic. And what I also really enjoy is his Pesca, the Professor Pesca and the Woman in White. It's just great material. But I still have a really big preference for historical stuff. So Ivar the Boneless in Hammer of the Gods is great to work on, and the same goes for Ludovico Sforza, the Duke of Milan in the Borgias. Right. So these are my second rank characters. Garabet, his Armenian gangster Garabet in Undercover. This is a great character because he is at the same time. He is intimidating at times, you know, and then he is very comical and very funny. So because it's a comedy, and that's really perfect because he can do both of it, and there it is basically squeezed into one character, and it's great. And I think we are going to see something along these lines again. And what I'm really looking forward to now is. The Dark Tower. I hope this will be commissioned for series, and that's basically a Western high fantasy, post-apocalyptic high fantasy Stephen King novel series that is being adapted for TV now. Hopefully, because what they filmed is a pilot, and I'm really looking forward to that because I love fantasy and I love historical stuff. But yeah, that's my favorite characters that come to mind immediately. I think I really can't make many choices about how to rank them. I like his Polo Yakur in Assassination Games as well, because that's a really awful villain. I think I watched King Ale, then I watched Mick, and then I watched Polo. And when I watched Polo, I said, okay, they blood-eagled the wrong villain. Because basically King Ale isn't the villain, but Polo is, and Polo is the guy who should have got the blood eagle, really.
I first saw him as Polo, and that's when he became a contender for one of my characters for some I've written. I I still have a few other characters, but he's number one. So, and like his character of Polo, how he portrayed Polo is why he's still a strong contender for that person. So, well, thank you so much for joining us today. Maybe when you send me all those links, I will link everything in the description below of this video.
All right, very good.
Um,
So we are done now?
it's up to you. Or, yeah, or any other hobbies or any advice for people who want to help out their favorite celebrities?
Well, I do have other hobbies, although this hobby doesn't leave much space now. I'm also, as you know, I'm also into writing. It and I think I'll take up my fiction writing now very soon again for a reason. Reading, of course, every academic likes reading, and drawing. I've got into drawing and also digital drawing lately, and actually quite interesting how this all can feed into each other.
Yeah.
Tips for approaching celebrities or for getting into touch with celebrities. I think if they are on social media and if they are not, people who have millions of followers who obviously can't respond to everything, can't see everything. My approach would be, and that's the interesting thing. Well, you can just talk to them. It's nothing bad to talk to them, and just get over the block if you have one,
Right.
and there's nothing that can happen aside from maybe not being seen. Okay, can happen, and I don't know. My approach basically is if you get in touch with people. I think celebrities often, even celebrities that aren't on the Hollywood, everyone knows them scale, is that people tend to want something from them. They want to follow back, or they want a recommendation, or they want to be an extra in something, or whatever. They think or they just want to get attention. Okay, that's normal. Everyone likes to be seen, but I think the point is, if you want to do something, I don't know. You want to build some kind of relationship. If there is a chance, sometimes there isn't. Is to think about what is a win-win situation.
Right.
What is something that's basically what I've done. What is fun to me and maybe useful to him or her in this in whatever case. Just do something. Offer something. Do something for them. I mean, why not? You like them, so do something for them. Something useful.
Yes, it's always amazing, and I try to help Mr. K and you and all my other friends whatever way I can too. So, well, thank you so much for that, and hopefully we'll have you again sometime. So,
Yeah, nice. Thank you.
and make sure to follow Mr. K on his IMDb page and all the other links I will have in the description of this video that Susan will give me. And Then I hope to see you next time on Interview It with Irene. Bye.
Bye.
Okay.